Hello and good day. I want um, us to continue from where we left off the last time. So we were actually done with public sector budgeting. I mean, the theory aspect. We're going to look at, or we'll be looking at calculation aspects later. We'll move on to government revenue and expenditure. So please continue this lecture from the lecture I did uh, on the 3rd of May. Today is 7th of May. This is a continuation of a lecture on the 3rd of May. You can find that on the YouTube platform. So I'm continuing from the lecture on the 3rd of May. So we started with government revenue and expenditure. We look at the revenue bit, how government revenue is classified. Then we went to Gifmis classification of public sector budgeting. We look at compensation of employees. I explained that in the last video on the 3rd of May. Then we got to goods and services, or use of goods and services. Very soon, we will be referred to a table for a comprehensive classification of public expenditure, which is the 2019 Gifmis classification. You can also find this on the Comptroller and Accountant General website. That's the government chart of account. So let's move on and go down and see. Yes, please. This table is very, very important, and you need to pay attention and know everything that is in here. In this table, government expenditure has been classified under various headings and subheadings. We are to know this classification because the intention of the examiner will always be to test your knowledge, whether you know how this expenditure are classified. All right. So when we come to compensation of employees, which has to do with any form of money paid into the pocket of labor, being it allowance or salary or whatever. The public sector or the government's classification of expenditure. The moment you hear of compensation of employees, these are the things that comes into mind. So this is the main heading. And in an exams, where you have your revenue, you have compensation of employees. Then under it, so like a note, let's say note 2, compensation. The details of these compensations are what we are seeing down here. The first one is what? Established post. I explained that earlier in the video on the 3rd of May. And that established posts are those, salaries and allowances paid to people, or let me go back for you to get established posts, salaries and allowances provided to government employees on a permanent what? Basis. Okay. So when we say compensation of employees, we're talking about established posts and a non-established post. Don't forget, in the exams, the examiner will give you a trial balance and then list so many expenditures. And the examiner wants to test your knowledge, whether you'll be able to classify them into compensation and then the other types of public sector expenditure. So we have non-established posts. And the non-established posts, these are the things we have: the daily rated, monthly paid, and what have you. So 1, 2. So we have established post, non-established post, allowances. Then under allowances, we have any form of allowances paid to labor. It could be motor, bike allowance, maintenance allowance, car maintenance, bereavement, subsidy, commitment, funeral grant, journalist allowance, jurist allowance. In fact, any form of allowance will be under where? Compensation of employees. Okay, so please note this table very, very well. It's very, very important. Watchman allowance, rations, in fact, any form of allowance. Okay. Then rules of council allowance. So the main heading, which is compensation of employees, is there. Then any other thing, allowance, you will see. So rules of council allowance, rules of court allowance, steering committee allowance. So I mean, any form of allowance, duty allowance, clothing allowance, there you have it. Cashier allowance, fuel allowance, guide allowance. So you have all these things there, and the examiner will test you whether you'll be able to tell that this is classified under what? Compensation of employees. All right, let's continue. So all these things you see, domestic servant allowance, foreign service allowance, they are all that. Compensatory allowance, you see them there. Arrears, compensation arrears, established posts, wages and salaries in kind, child allowance, cost of living allowance, COLA. You might have heard this before. Then look at here too. National pension contribution. Yes, Senate. 13% employer contribution, gratuity, pension, ESB, or you say end of service benefits, superannuations. Yes. So all the things you see here, they are all worth noting because the examiner will test you on that in the exams. Then use of goods and services. Here, these are all other things that a public sector entity buys. For example, buying laptops, buying stationery, paying for repairs of vehicle. Here, not by way of like giving it to labor, like vehicle allowance, but let's say the public sector entity's vehicle goes for maintenance, and consultancy fees, legal fees, and purchase of books, stationery, and all those things. All right. So under use of goods and service. So use of goods and service is another expenditure or main heading under expenditure classification. So the compensation was one, and we are looking at what? Use of goods and services. Then a subheading is what? Or a subclassification is materials and office consumable. And then we have them a lot. Printed material and stationery, office facilities, supplies and accessories, refreshment items, medical supplies, drugs, oil, lubricants, electrical accessories, construction materials, spare parts, specialized stock, other office materials and consumables, uniform and protective clothing, feeding costs. So you see, all these things are under materials and office consumables, which will all come under what? Use of goods and services. And so in the exams, you could be given the whole of these things for you to classify them as what? Usually it would be use of goods and services. They wouldn't give you to classify all this under materials and office consumable because this one alone is a subheading under use of goods and services. Okay. Rations are there, textbooks and library, chemicals and consumable, teaching, learning materials. Then you have utilities. I mean, payment of water bills, electricity bills, and telephone and all those things. So electric charges, water, telecommunication, postal charges, sanitation charges, army guard and security. So all these things fall under use of goods and services. We have general cleaning, cleaning materials, contact cleaning service. Please, I have shared some questions on the WhatsApp platform. Majority of them are on budgeting and then government revenue and expenditure. We are going to solve all of them. So that's the reason why I sent you this once before. Okay. Then rent. See, sometimes government rent the premises of private individuals. or even the government itself. And so for classification purposes, rent or leases all comes under use of goods and services. So we have office accommodation, residential, hotel, rental of land and building, and a whole place. We have to know this one by heart. That the trial balance, if this is given or talked about, where does it go? Is there a compensation? Is there goods and services? Okay. Rental. So any form of rental. Then we have transport, TNT, travel and transport, overseas medical treatment, maintenance and repairs, office vehicle, fuel and lubricant, car rental, leasing, running costs, freight and handling charges, running costs. So, I mean, a lot. Local travel costs, mileage allowance, local hotel accommodation, foreign travel per diem. All these are what? Transport or TNT expenditure, which come under use of goods and services. Then we have repairs and maintenance itself. So, any form of repairs and maintenance, whether on machinery and plants, general, whether on schools and colleges, furniture and features, or office building, any form comes under use of goods and services. Maintenance of markets, yes, you have them all listed. A lot, I mean, a lot of them, in that order. Training and seminars and conference costs. Training materials, seminars, conference, workshops, examination fees, expenses, high of venue, hotel accommodation, library subscription, recruitment, refreshment, staff development, all these things comes under use of goods and services. Consultancy, so local consultancy fee, external contract appointment and all that, special services, official celebration, head of state, end of year activities, assembly members, sittings, property valuation expenses. Then we have other charges and what? Fees. Example are bank charges, bank errors, audit fees, exchange losses, penalties and interest, and a whole lot. Then again, we move on to emergency services. So field operation, refurbishment, emergency works, then insurance premium, any form of insurance premium paid. Any form of insurance premium paid. Any form of insurance premium that is paid will come there. Then the next classification of expenditure will have to be consumption of fixed assets. In simple terms, consumption of fixed assets is just depreciation. Depreciation. So any form of public, in the public sector now, they are doing or they are migrating more from cash based to what? Accrual accounting. So consumption of fixed assets, depreciation, any form of depreciation of public assets. So we have a lot of them. Depreciation, depreciation of furniture and fitting, barracks, palace, bungalows, office buildings, school buildings, slaughterhouses. In fact, any form of depreciation is considered as consumption of fixed assets. So we've done 3 classifications of expenditure now. 1, compensation, use of goods and services, and we are currently on what? Consumption of fixed assets. All right. So any form of depreciation of airplanes, trains, ships, motorbike, that belongs to government and all that. Then we have depreciation, networking and ICT equipment. So name all those kind of office equipment and then IT equipment. We have them there. Provision for bad debts, provision for investment. They are out there. And the 4th classification will be what? Interest. Yes, interest that government has to pay to both resident obligation and a whole lot. So interest, we have those that government will pay outside non-resident interest. external interest payment to like interest on loan from IMF, World Bank, and a whole lot. Resident and other governments, so other interest that government pay domestically, example, interest on treasury bill, all those things are also expenditure of government classified under interest. Then we have government subsidy. So government subsidy for non-financial public operation, financial public operation, oil subsidy, utility subsidy, yes, the water, the ECG, government subsidy on them, capitation grant, school feeding program or subsidy, school subsidy, free SHS, BEC and SHS. Now it is even free. Feeding grant, fertilizer subsidy, those days, planting for food and jobs. So the farmers will get subsidy in order to plant and grow more. Then we have what? Private entities, non-financial private entities and financial private entities. So that is another classification of expenditure. And you will see these things in a trial balance and general testing and whether you can classify. Then we have grants. Here, don't forget, grant can sometimes be revenue. And then at the same time, grant can always also be what? An expenditure. As an expenditure, government can make foreign grants. So foreign government agencies, government can pay grants to a neighboring African country that is been plagued by a natural disaster, coup, unstable economy, and all those kind of things. The international organizations, government can pay grants to, let's say, AU, ECOWAS, and all those things. Then general government units, yes. Internally or in Ghana, government can also pay grants to state institutions or other institutions in the country. So they can domestic statutory payment like District Assembly Common Fund, Get Fund, domestic discretionary payments that's transferred to MMDAs, petroleum related funds, central government allocation to MMDAs, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, school feeding programs. So all these are avenues or institutions or programs that government can give grants to. So grant is another heading or classification. So you have to know the main heading and the things that fall under them. Usually they are these things. Normally not this, but they rather bring this. So you know that if you see all these things, they are under grant. And the next one we have is social benefits. Here we have social security benefits, national health insurance scheme, social security benefits in kind. So we have cash and then what? Kind. All right. Then social benefits in cash, exemption for aged and antenatal, refund for medical expenses, social assistance benefits in kind, employee social benefits in cash, workman compensation. Don't confuse workman compensation with compensation of employees. The first one. Okay. Staff welfare expenses. Sometimes students usually confuse social benefits with compensation of employees. So get a difference. Refund of medical expenses, employer social benefits in kind. We'll be seeing some of these things in the trial balance. Then we have other expenses, rent, insurance, and professional fees. Other expenses. So these things are very, very, very important, which we have to know. So that is that for the Gifmis classification of expenditure. All right. Let's move on to TSA, which is Treasury Single Account. Treasury Single Account. Yes. This is also something the syllabus which we are required to know. This a minute. Treasury single account. Okay, when we say Treasury single account, we are looking at bringing all bank accounts in the public sector together, or having a harmonized um account in the public sector. So that's how we are going to have it. That a treasury single account is a consolidated bank account system where all deposit and payment transactions are what? Processed for central government. It's very simple. When you write this in an exams, you should be able to move on with your life, isn't it? And it's a system of managing central government bank accounts, including all central agencies. Now, this treasury single account has been enacted in a legislation which can be found in Section 46 of the PFM Act. What are the objectives of this treasury single account? We want to have a consolidated view of what? All cash resources of the government. Then this treasury single account will serve as an account in which all monies received shall be what? Deposited, and from which all payments shall also be made. We want to have an account, one account in which all monies we have received, we are going to put in there. Any money we need to pay, we pay from this same account. That is the objective of treasury single account. You can be asked in an exam. It's very, very important. So please take notice of that. Now, what then? So the objectives are what the treasury single account seek to achieve. If it is able to achieve that, what will be the benefit to government? To government is going to provide a full and timely information on government what? Cash resources. And when these objectives are achieved, we are going to have an increased appropriation control over what? Budget allocations. Yes. We'll be able to monitor that. Very, very, very simple. And it is also going to increase operational control throughout what? The budget implementation stage. Operational control. Then obviously, a treasury single account is going to encourage effective financial management. And lastly, bank reconciliation and other data integrity will be enhanced or can be guaranteed. So we are saying that it enhances bank reconciliation and physical data integrity in that we'll be able to reconcile government accounting system with cash flow system from the banking system. What are the components of this treasury single account? The components are the treasury single main account itself. It has a revenue transit account for what? Tax and non-tax revenue. We've done these things, and so you should be able to do. Then it also has a revenue holding account. Please a minute. We are saying that it has a revenue hold what account. So an account in which revenue are temporarily deposited for an onward transfer to a main account. Then it has operational accounts. Yes, this operational account will be used for the payment of expenses and other operational activities. Then donor fund bank account, third party deposit, foreign mission bank account, and then other accounts as may be approved by the controller and accountant general. So these are the components. Now, Bank of Ghana. What are their responsibilities in respect of this treasury single account? Bank of Ghana. When you hear of treasury single account, here the role of controller accountant general and the Bank of Ghana will be very, very, very important and well noted. So the Bank of Ghana, these people, they handle and transmit receipts, notices, and other documents. So have you heard that there's a Bank of Ghana check? Government will pay you, and the payments will be made from the Bank of Ghana because these people handle and transmit what? Receipts and notices. The Bank of Ghana, they are in charge of holding the check, yes, of the government. They also process payments instructions. They process refunds and what? Repayment. Yeah. That is their responsibility as far as treasury single account is concerned. Then they handle public money held in trust. Don't forget that the consolidated fund is held at where? The Bank of Ghana. And the Bank of Ghana must report to who? The Controller and Accountant General, who is the chief accountant of the government. Now, what are the principles of operating a treasury single account? What are the principles of operating a treasury single account? Here, under whatever circumstance, all state or covered entities should not operate any bank account outside the supervision and authority of the Treasury. Yes. So, if you are the DC or the minister of whatever ministry, you can't just on your own go and open an account somewhere and be asking people to be paying money to that account. All right. Consolidation of government financial resources should be thorough and include all what? Very important. Government cash resources, including those that have been budgeted for and those not budgeted for. Now, we want to look at government banking arrangements and other operations. And I'm saying that here, government banking arrangements and operations should be what? Consolidated. When we are able to do the consolidation, we are going to have a full monitoring of government cash movement across bank accounts. Example, Minister of Finance and Controller and Accountant General. In as much as we want to achieve the objective for the treasury single account, it comes with challenges. One challenge is that transitioning from numerous bank account system to a single accounting system comes with some form of what? Resistance. Yes, because people will not have their way, they will resist it. Bureaucracy into payment operations is very, very likely in a high risk area. then a TSA will be hampered by poor performing and inefficient banking and interpayment networks. Yeah, that is very, very worth noting and then important. All right. So let's look at some past questions that they've asked on, I mean, from government revenue and expenditure up to TSA. So the question is that as part of the measures for regulating the financial management system of the public sector entities, government through Public Financial Management Act 2016 Act 921 established the Treasury single account. This is a past question from ICAG November 2019. What are we required to do? We are required to explain what is meant by Treasury single account for 2 marks. If we're able to get those 2 marks, we are left with 48 marks to be called chartered accountant, isn't it? I. We are required to explain three purposes for the establishment of Treasury single account. For how many marks? For 3 good marks. If you get this 5 marks, aren't we left with 45 marks to be called chartered accountant? Isn't also? So that is something. Yes. So I mentioned Gifmis. Gifmis. Let's do Gifmis proper. In short and summary, all what I can tell you about Gifmis is that Gifmis is an Oracle software used by the public sector in handling payments, preparing budgets, procurement, HR management, and others. So the Gifmis platform or the Gifmis system is more or less like an accounting software. Or, yes, let me say an ERP, an accounting software, just like a private company will have Tally, QuickBooks, SAP, and all that. The different platforms like the accounting software for the public sector, which handle so many models of public sector operations. That is the simplest thing I can tell you about. So we are going to go into details what the Gifmis is all about. All right. So like I said earlier, the Gifmis is an Oracle e-business suite financial software which serve the official record system to meet government of Ghana budget. So take note, government of Ghana budget. So it is used in budget preparation, financial accounting reporting. The different platform is helps government in financial accounting and reporting, disbursement, that is payment, internal control, and then audit requirements. For us to implement the PFM Act successfully, there was a need for the implementation of what? The Gifmis. So you should know the full meaning of what? Gifmis. Ghana Integrated and Financial Management System. Okay. Gifmis is a computerized financial package which provides integrated computerized financial package to improve the efficacy and openness of public resource management. How is this done? This is done by automating or computerizing government budget management and all government accounting system. What are the purpose and business need? Why is government so much important and needed? And needed. The government we have what we call publish, it helps to publish standard annual financial what? Report. Yes. standard. We are talking about standard financial report. So the Controller and Accountant General, through standardized general purpose financial statement. You should be familiar with this already from conceptual framework. Okay. The Gifmis increased management reporting and what? Query. It enhanced annual budget preparation. I mentioned that it also helps in budgetary control and it strengthened internal controls and auditing capabilities in the public sector. So these are the purpose and business need of the Gifmis platform. What are the main scope of Gifmis projects? Now, the Gifmis has 6 scopes. The scope has to do with what? General ledger, purchase order, account receivable, account payable, public sector budgeting, cash management, and fixed assets. Now, so you see, all these scope are the things that the Gifmis project. So the scope basically include review, analysis, and subsequent improvement and standardization to business processes that will ensure that transactions are streamlined by being recorded completely, accurately, and timely. So these are the main scope of the Gifmix project. If you check, all these are things you will find in typical private sector reporting timeline or requirements. Issues about general ledger, payments, accounts receivable, and all that. Okay. The goals of Gifmis. The broad goals of Gifmis. Gifmis has come to identify and minimize duplication of effort and processes. Yeah. So that one person will not do the same thing twice, or even 2 persons will not do the same work twice. Gifmis has come to minimize paper-based record keeping and filing system. In the past, you go to the hospital and each patient has a folder. You see a shelf with so many files in there. They are trying to move away from this. So you have a paperless working environment or economy. Gifmis also provide a single source of data for overall control of what? Physical assets. Now, what are the particular specific objectives that Gifmis seeks to achieve or for the existence of Gifmis? Gifmis has come to help implement a budget and financial accounting and what? Reporting system that is consistent with meeting legal and regulatory framework. So when you think of Gifmis, or some of the things Gifmis have come to achieve, think of budgeting and financial accounting and reporting system. I mean, these are the things that will be running through. Provide documentation of what? Business processes, workflows, approval levels to ensure consistent and timely compliance. Yes, here across all covered entities, we are trying to look at how internal control system can be implemented, monitored, and then evaluated. Gifmis, as usual, has come to minimize duplication of our effort and streamline business process. Yes, obviously. Then Gifmis provide better oversight of all MDAs and MDAs. You see, through the Gifmis system, whatever you are doing can be monitored elsewhere at the top, so you can't misbehave. It has come to improve administration of revenue collection process. Yes, with the help of Ghana Revenue Authority and all that. Okay. Before any project is implemented, this project has got a number of teams. So we are going to look at the project teams of Gifmix and their responsibilities. The first team is the cultural change and project teams. The project teams of the first one is the cultural change and process management team. What do they do? These people, they have to disseminate information or communicate and then plan training of what? Overall coordination and implementation of the Gifmis platform. Then we have IT technical team. They build capacity of IT resources, system and technical testing, in-house technical training. So take this to be like, the IT office or department in a private entity. Payroll team. Payroll team will have to review the process employed to integrate what? The IPPD. We'll look at IPPD later. IPPD means Integrated Personal Payroll Database. Then we have the budget team. These people define budget controls, business processes, improvement, budget, and implementation of budget models itself at all MDAs and then MMDAs. Okay. Then we have the Treasury and Cash Management team. They focus on revenue and account receivable, Treasury and Cash Management, business processes for cash management, and identification of interfaces between the BOG and the government of Ghana. Yes. What are the models of Gifmis? Very, very important. This, I think, they've asked somewhere before. So the model, the Gifmis models is that what can we use? What can we use the when you log on onto the Gifmis platform, what are some of the models you see on the interface that you can click to do something or to do a work? That's the Gifmis model we are talking about here. That's a Gifmis model we are talking about here. So we are going to look at them one after the other. And they are going to ask you more questions here. They've even asked in a past question before. The first model we are going to look at is the procure to pay, P2P. So this is basically a payment platform. So the procure to pay is an abbreviation for the Oracle e-business suite program that is used to process government expenditure. So this procure to pay. So any payment government want to do, they use the procure to pay model, and it has components. What are the components under the procure to pay? It has a purchase model that is used to produce purchase requisition, purchase orders, and store receipt advice. Yes. Before you make payment in the first place, things like purchase requisition, purchase orders, and all those things before you'll be able to buy. The preliminary documents that you have to put in place or make available before you can even buy or procure anything. Then another component under the procure to pay is account payable model, which is for what? Payment batches, expense accounting, and liability tracking. Yes. After you procure all your items, then finally they are coming to pay. You see, the first one, the purchase model, is the preparatory and preliminary stages before you'll be able to buy. But account payable model is when after you've bought and you account to pay payment voucher, which shows who we are paying. That payment we are making, that expenditure, what is the classification of that expenditure? I mean, are we paying for use of goods and services? And if it's use of goods and services, what is the subheading? Who are we paying? What date? Who approved of the payment? Is it payment by check, bank? Who received the payment in orders, payment voucher? Expense tracking? Yes. All right. Then the procure to pay also has a cash management model. This one is used for what? Payment processing, bank reconciliation, and cash forecasting. The next module under the Gifmis we call the Oracle Hyperion. The Oracle Hyperion is used to prepare the national budget. Yes. So the national budget preparation, the Oracle Hyperion, we use is in preparing the national budget. It has some components and functions. Let's look at them one by one. The Hyperion Planning Plus is used for the strategic planning aspect of the national budget. Hyperion Planning Plus is used for strategic planning aspect of the budget preparation process. So you see, the budget is there, but the strategic planning aspect of it with the Hyperion Planning Plus. Here, we are going to look at the budget preparation and process and analysis of budgets using sensitivity analysis and what if. So, for example, if we scrap a levy, what would be the impact on revenue? What would be the impact on expenditure? What would be the impact on government spending and all that?